Trinidad and Tobago and to the viewing world.
Now, first of all, I want to ask you, what do you think Mr. Duke can accomplish through this particular event?
Well, what we are trying to accomplish is to ensure that the process that is currently being done to procure the vessels before the inter-island travel between Trinidad and Tobago, to ensure that this time it is done correctly. See, we have a situation where for the last 8 months, the Port Authority, the Minister, the Ministry with responsibility for inter-island transportation has been messing up the process. Anyone who has looked at what has happened with all of the fiascos can realize that this process has been flawed. So what we are saying is that the Tobago House of Assembly needs to be a part of that process, needs to be a part of the identification and the final approval of any vessel that is being procured for Trinidad and Tobago inter-island travel. See, and this is because the Tobago House of Assembly Act says under the 5th schedule that Tobago is responsible for items under the 5th schedule. Item 16 talks about infrastructure, which includes air and sea transportation. What it also says, what the Tobago House of Assembly also says, Act also says, is that individuals, when there are state agencies or state institutions that provide the service on the island of Tobago for Tobago, where the Tobago House of Assembly cannot provide that service or does not provide a service, it needs to be done in compliance with the policies of the Tobago House of Assembly or the programs of the Tobago House of Assembly. As a result, we are saying that the Port Authority have been obviously messing this process up. So we, the Tobago House of Assembly, which includes the Minority Council, needs to be at the table at every phase of this development going forward. We cannot sit back. We cannot wait for them to simply pick a vessel and tell us that the vessel is on its way when it does not meet the criteria for what is needed in Tobago. What has happened? The Chamber of Commerce, for example, has been the voice identifying the critical needs for the ferry system as it relates to cargo and as it relates to passengers. And what we've noticed is that that information given by the Chamber of Commerce has been completely ignored. As a result, the Minority Council, we have said that because the travel between Trinidad and Tobago is now in critical stage, we are going to show that Trinidad and Tobago is now forcing Tobagonians to swim from Tobago to Trinidad because that seems to be the only way we can do it. And we are doing it to highlight the fact that we need to be a part of the process. We need to be at the table and we need to have final decision-making powers as we go ahead. We've waited for 8 months and the process has been flawed for the last 8 months, and we cannot allow that process to continue happening the way it has because it is not working.
All right. Now, while we understand the intended purpose, issues were raised about the actual safety of such an adventure. Persons would have attempted, even open water swimmers would have attempted to swim from Tobago to Trinidad, and they were unsuccessful because of the strong currents.
Right. And what we've said is we will start the journey with a swim. And then because we are working in collaboration with the fisher folks and so forth, we will use any means necessary to get there. So we start the journey with a swim, considering all of the dangers, considering all of the safety requirements that are necessary, and we will use pirogues, we will use kayaks, we will use whatever it takes to ensure that we get from Tobago to Trinidad, because this is what we are forced to do.
So it's not necessarily a swim along the entire, throughout the entire journey.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, tell me something. Why this move? You all have done, well, Mr. Duke has engaged in other forms of protest in the past. This is also another form of protest. What do you think this can accomplish that other actions, similar actions, have not?
Well, you know, what we've been doing is trying to be very diplomatic about this process. What we've been doing is trying to have the individuals who make the decisions listen to Tobago. And the fact that we are on the air this morning talking about it highlights the fact that we need to have this on the air, on the national agenda, so that Trinidad and Tobago knows that the inter-island travel, even though it may be a simple hindrance to the average Trinidadian, we are at critical levels. This is a crisis for Tobago, and we cannot just sit back and let it go, let it continue to fail, because that is what is happening. If this continues the way it's happening now, the economy of Tobago will fail. And believe me, this country is Trinidad and Tobago. If the economy of Tobago fails, then Trinidad and Tobago will fail. We need to ensure that this continues to stay on the national agenda, and we need to ensure that, because this is such a critical issue for us here in Tobago, that we are at the table making the final decision about the vessel or vessels that is going to be placed on that inter-island route.
How many persons are expected to participate in this particular swim protest?
Well, it will start with the minority leader, Mr. Watson Duke, and Assemblyman Farley. But we also have some of the fisher folks, and we have other supporters who are going to be there with us. And we are calling on all of Tobago, everyone who this has affected, to come and be a part of this. Show that this is affecting your life. The mother who is trying to get to Trinidad now, because it is now a week away from the start of school, and you are realizing that you don't have half of the books that your child needs, because those books are physically not available on the island. You need to come out and show that this is not working for you, the average man on the ground. What people don't recognize is that not having this inter-island transportation working effectively, we have practically ground Tobago to a halt, and we cannot allow that to happen.
Okay, great. Well, it was a pleasure chatting with you, Dr. Israel, and we definitely hope that, something works out with the Sea Bridge soon.
Thank you. It has to.